My name is Kristina Gligorić. I will talk about our work on the context-free ambiguity of emoji. I'm a PhD student at EPFL, and this is joint work with collaborators from EPFL, University of Zurich, and University of Lausanne. Emojis have been playing an important role in online communication, and as a consequence, they also received a lot of attention from researchers. However, to date, the full potential of emojis is not leveraged. We argue that emojis have an untapped potential for facilitating communication in ambitious scenarios, for example, in educational and learning scenarios. However, it is not known how to achieve these goals, and it is not known which emojis would make the best candidates. In order to get closer to answering this question, the first step is figuring out how do people understand standalone emojis without any textual context. It is challenging to answer these questions with available datasets. Emojis are always used in context and their meaning evolves. Therefore, we collected a crowdsourced dataset of around 1,300 emojis presented to participants with no surrounding text. We collected 30 annotations per emoji to examine ambiguity. Let me describe our dataset and the study setup by considering one specific emoji as an example. Out of the 30 annotators, 13 described this specific emoji with the word eyes. 4 described it with the word look, whereas the remaining 23 annotations are somewhat diverse, including words such as looking, watch, but also worried, suspicious, unsure, and surprise. Now, the concepts of looking and eyes are semantically close, however, suspicion and eyes less so. Our main goal is to measure emoji ambiguity as such variation. We quantify emoji ambiguity as the dispersion of emoji annotations in the word embedding space. Let me explain what that means in the example of eyes emoji. We take one annotation, say worried, and its word embedding representation EV. We then compare it with the embedding of the most frequent annotation, word eyes in this case, and its embedded representation EV star. We then quantify the cosine distance between the two embeddings, and then simply sum up this distance across all the collected distinct annotations, proportional by their relative frequency. Across all emojis, we then look at the semantic variation on x-axis and the vocabulary size, that is the number of distinct annotations. We find that human agreement about the meaning of emojis ranges from completely unambiguous to indistinguishable from random, with emojis covering the whole spectrum. Our example eyes emoji is somewhere in the middle, with average ambiguity and vocabulary size, meaning that indeed its meaning is not completely unambiguous. To some, it could signal suspicion or worry, whereas it can also be interpreted as simply looking or paying attention. Overall, we find that emojis with lowest ambiguity are related to concrete things, food and drinks, clothes and accessories, nature and hearts, whereas most ambiguous are categories that are related to symbols, which are harder to interpret without prior knowledge. To summarize, I will reflect on the main things that we learned from this study. First, our findings reveal the extent to which individual emojis might be useful for future communication scenarios. 16 emojis are described by annotators with a single unique word. For educational scenarios, it is likely that these emojis can be used without introducing misunderstanding. On the other hand, 55 emojis have ambiguity indistinguishable from random, the most ambiguous emoji being the customs emoji. For future scenarios, these emojis are unlikely to be useful since they introduce a high level of ambiguity. Our study also has design implications, since mechanisms driving misunderstanding relate to the concreteness of the emoji. It is important to consider the cultural background and knowledge of the intended participants. And then finally, beyond evaluating ambiguity, we hope that our semantic emoji annotations can enable development of novel emoji representations, which could in turn enable novel applications. Please check out our full paper available at go.epfl.ch/emoji, as well as our code, complete annotations, and all the data which are publicly available in our repository. Thank you for watching and hope to see you at the poster session.